Part 19. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 181. I don't know. She quickly took Zhang Zizai's hand and said, "Don't leave, I'm scared." "What are you afraid of?" "Afraid of my mother, afraid that she will scold me." She trembled and put her arms around Zhang Zizai's waist, wanting to stick to it, and then burst into tears. I'm afraid she'll say she'll die to show me, I'm afraid." Her claws grabbed Zhang Zizai's back tightly, scratching a few bloody marks on it. The fragrance was so strong that Zhang Zizai lowered his head and looked at her pretty face, which looked like a ripe apple. His mind exploded all of a sudden, and for some reason, he completely entered a whirlpool. The collision of dry wood and fierce fire, raging and burning, like an explosion. How could this feeling be so crazy? His palms traveled to all corners, tearing apart everything that could be blocked. Neither he nor the 9 Immortals have ever reached this point. Don't. Shen Xiao was left with nothing but gossamer breath, and her charming eyes were dim. Almost, only the last step remains. He was covered in fire and couldn't stop it at all. But at this moment, Zhang Zizai suddenly saw a grey rune on his chest, which was only a little green. Zayu. He suddenly remembered that she had harmed him so much. Then I remembered that she was not the 9 Immortals, she was Princess Shen Xiao. This is completely impossible. This is simply impossible to happen. Why does it happen? Someone must be up to something. However, even if you know this, so what? At this point, how can you still control yourself? In the light of the calcium carbide fire, he thought of the soul-calming talisman. He took out 2 soul-suppressing charms, gave one to Princess Shen Xiao, and gave one to himself. Ah, the 2 of them screamed at the same time. This was the first time Zhang Zizai attacked him. He didn't expect the soul-suppressing charm to be so painful. The tingling feeling in his soul instantly cooled the heat all over his body. This time, I am so awake. I believe Princess Shen Xiao has also woken up. Then, the 2 people, who were just short of completing the last step, looked at each other. Ah, Princess Shen Xiao let out a scream that shook the world. Put it on quickly. Zhang Zizai was also very embarrassed. He really wanted to cry without tears. Now his mind was confused. What happened just now? Was it still him? In the panic, the 2 of them were finally able to stand decently, but Princess Shen Xiao had already collapsed. She squatted on the ground and looked at Zhang Zizai with a miserable face. Her body was still red. She looked at Zhang Zizai desperately. He struggled and said, "Zhang Zizai, I didn't expect you to be so despicable and shameless. You actually used ecstasy drugs to harm me. It was you who seduced me. I almost lost my virginity." He clearly remembered that it was the scent of her body that caused the trouble. "Fortunately, I had the soul-calming talisman, so I stopped the tragedy in time. I almost lost your virginity," this pervert succeeded. He was really scared. If he penetrated the last step today, how would he explain it to the 9 Immortals? "Are you crazy? I'm here to hallucinate you," she gritted her teeth, but her mind was still blank. Suddenly, she remembered something. "My mind was so tingling just now, was it you who attacked me? Won't I attack you and let you taint me?" Zhang Zizai was so angry. How could there be a shameless woman coveting her beauty? "I definitely didn't." She recovered a little, and probably remembered that if he was the one responsible, there was no need to attack herself at this time to rule out the possibility of him, which would be terrible. "Someone wants to harm us? I must have drank something I shouldn't have at the National Protection Banquet." She widened her eyes and thought about the truth, with a look of fear on her face. "You're right." Zhang Zizai also regained some sense. He frowned and said, "Someone wants you and me to have a relationship. It must be him." Princess Shen Xiao knew who it was. She knew that her mother had warned her so, and she also knew that this person definitely wanted her to mix with Zhang Zizai. Despicable and shameless, she cried in anger, she could be so cruel. Haha, this method is almost comparable to your Zaiyu, Zhang Zizai sneered. Unexpectedly, she was still not angry. The effects of the medicine had not yet worn off. She struggled to stand up and said, Zhang Zizai, give me another talisman. She was definitely falling into it again. Let's go. This is not cheap. 34th grade spiritual stones, bring them. Another soul-suppressing talisman was wasted, and his heart ached. I don't need money, but I need my life. Shen Xiao covered her head in pain, but this allowed her to gradually recover. How can you, the noble princess, be such a rogue? Zhang Zizai was depressed. Fortunately, nothing happened. Otherwise, I would be ruined in my life if I were exposed to you, Zhang Zizai said. You dare to say that nothing happened? Don't you know what you just did? Shen Xiao remembered, and she took a few steps back, her eyes a little confused. She knew that except for the last step, everything had been done, not only him, but also her hands were not idle. She finally came to the conclusion that her Xiaoyu was really unsuccessful. The smell still lingers on her hands. Zhang Zizai also knew it in his heart. In fact, the prince's plan was more than half successful. Now that Zhang Zizai thought of the scene just now, it was hard to speak. Both are so crazy. Maybe after today, it will be really difficult to maintain the relationship that was only filled with hatred before. And the more she thought about it, the effect of the medicine was still taking effect, and she was out of breath again after a while. Zhang Zizai could only contribute another soul-soothing charm in pain. Get out of here and remember to pay back the money, Zhang Zizai said. I can't leave, I'm afraid of meeting other men, Shen Xiao suddenly said in fear. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Then I'll go to the head office. You can find a place here to bury yourself and sleep for one night. It won't be a problem. No, you can't leave either, she stretched out her hand to stop Zhang Zizai. What are you doing? Do you want to be the overlord? Zhang Zizai was angry. I'm afraid. Don't pretend to be pitiful to win my sympathy. That's what you did just now. Maybe you administered the medicine yourself, Zhang Zizai said. After she finished speaking, she shed tears just by looking at her. I'll give you 3. If you find something wrong with you, just hit it on the head. You'll be fine. Zhang Zizai could only throw out 3 soul-suppressing charms, and he would probably be able to hold her until the end. Painting is very expensive, you have to remember to pay. Okay, let's go. After collecting the soul talisman, she finally felt a little more at ease. She was really afraid of meeting other men here. By the way, since you are leaving, don't go back to the Temple of Sacrifice. Go back to the Protector's mansion and see Dongyang Jing. He has such a magical medicine, and he may not be able to use it tonight, she suddenly said. Zhang Zizai was shocked. He did know that this medicine was really scary. He doesn't worry about Dongyang Jing, because King Qingluan is still around, and the prince should not mess around. But he knew that there was a Xiang Liashu on Zhang Yanning's side, who had been eyeing her covetously for a long time. This thing may not belong to Xiang Liashu, because today, Zhang Zizai had seen the two of them chatting and laughing happily, and also saw Xiang Liashu, and secretly glanced at Zhang Yanning several times. His eyes turned red immediately. The lightning storm flashed past, and he disappeared from Princess Shengxiao's eyes. When he disappeared, Princess Shengxiao silently sat on the ground and looked around blankly. Mother, Prince. Zhang Zizai, Lingxian. She oscillated between the 4. The prince is very cruel. She clearly knows that this is a whirlpool, but she wants to get out of it, but it is so heartbreaking. She is already a little crazy. She feels that she may not be able to fight him. Her body didn't seem to belong to her, but was being pulled by everyone from all sides. The feeling just now is still vivid in my mind. How could I forget it, knowing that he is the devil in my destiny, but even moths will fly into the fire, let alone myself. However, when I look at the dragon chair, aren't I also filled with admiration? If you don't succeed, I will die in front of you. Her words echoed in his mind, making Shen Xiao's hair stand on end. She knew she couldn't cry, but she couldn't control her tears. She wanted to cut herself in half, and use one half to pursue her ambitions, or in other words, to live for her mother, to dominate the world, and to dominate the world with the sun and moon in the sky. The other half, go and live a carefree life. There is one. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 182. After thinking of that possibility, Zhang Zizai had forgotten all about Princess Shenxiao, rushed in from the back door of the protectorate mansion as quickly as possible, and headed for Zhang Yanning's residence. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. At this time, his heart almost jumped out of his chest, and his eyes were filled with blood. Although the Lonja sword in his hand had not left his body, it already contained surging sword energy. Zhang Zizai's true energy had long been in this sword. Riot surged within the sheath. Xiang Liashu. What is there that this idle playboy wouldn't dare to do if he had someone to back him up? Since he and the prince have such a terrifying drug in their hands, don't expect them to know how to use it themselves. Now that their family has lost power, it is indeed easy for them to punish Zhang Yanning. It scared her so much that she didn't dare to resist. A bolt of lightning broke through the bustling protectorate mansion. Zhang Ziyai didn't waste much time in Nalan Mountain. Fortunately, he stopped in time. Otherwise, how could he have thought of the situation here after all the fire? Zhang Zizai's murderous intent was raging, and he had never been as bloodthirsty as he was at this moment. Arrive. Zhang Yanning's residence is also a small courtyard. The Huguo mansion takes good care of its elite disciples. They all have independent small courtyards to practice without being influenced by others. Zhang Yanning likes to be quiet, so he chose a small courtyard surrounded by green bamboos. The environment is elegant and there is no one within a mile. Zhang Zizai walked through the green bamboo and vaguely saw lights in the house, indicating that Zhang Yanning must have returned. She usually spends more time with Dong Yangjing. Zhang Zizai didn't care anymore. When he got close, he broke in without knocking and chopped the wooden door into pieces. With a bang, he rushed in. At that moment, when he saw the situation inside, he was really glad that he reacted quickly enough. Zhang Yanning was sitting on the edge of the bed, her face flushed. The situation was exactly the same as Princess Shengxiao's just now. She seemed to have difficulty controlling herself, and her clothes were all messed up. Xiang Liashu hasn't come yet, so he must have been kept by his elders, but he will definitely find a way to come over. After all, Zhang Yanning has been tricked. Comfort. Zhang Yanning bit her red lips, struggling. Zhang Zizai had no choice but to throw the soul-suppressing talisman on her. She was at a relatively low level and the soul-suppressing talisman would be very lethal to her, so Zhang Zizai should use it with caution. After being hit by the soul-suppressing talisman, she couldn't bear it and fainted, but she finally got the situation under control. The fragrance on her body now is stronger than that of Princess Shenxiao. Obviously there are more medicines under the willow tree. He helped her onto the bed and covered her with a quilt. Zhang Zizai looked at her still red face. He was now filled with overwhelming anger. Xiang Liashu. He couldn't imagine how he would ruin his sister if he came too late. This is one of his closest relatives, but someone would use such despicable methods, which is absolutely intolerable. He drew out the Lonja sword and stood in front of the door, looking at the knight with blood-red eyes. The black dragon totem on his forehead moved slightly. A terrifying evil spirit emanated from his body, controlling the entire courtyard in a cold atmosphere. Among Zhang Zizai cut his finger with the long yew sword, and first let the long yew sword be stained with blood. The color of the blood stimulated his surging murderous intention. In less than a quarter of an hour, someone humming a tune approached from the small stone path in the distance. Needless to say, Zhang Zizai knew it was him. As expected, he came over with a red face and drunkenly, shouting, "Beauty, beauty, I have kept you waiting for so long. It's all my fault for those old guys who won't let me go. You must be impatient. I'll let you go soon. You are flying up into the clouds, hee hee." He drank too much and his steps were frivolous. He raised his head only after walking into the yard. In an instant, his blood-red eyes collided with Zhang Zizai's. "Hey, isn't this Zhang Zizai? Why are you here?" He really drank too much and couldn't react for a while. The wine served at the Protector's banquet is almost all strong alcohol brewed from elixirs, which cannot be dissolved by ordinary qi. However, after enjoying it, it is also of great benefit to one's cultivation and is a must-have for the upper class of Yanlong market. His eyes suddenly widened and he laughed and said, "Did you eat meat first? Oh my God, she is your sister. It's exciting. I gave you the most precious thing. I came late, so I can only eat the leftovers." Zhang Zizai walked towards him with long yew sword in hand. "Hey, you still want to attack me? I know that you have such a strong willpower that you must have controlled it, so your sister is still intact. In this case, you just stay aside and let me guide you, brother-in-law. What should I do?" Enjoy the beauty. He was so drunk that he looked past Zhang Zizai, completely ignoring his long yew sword. Die. Zhang Zizai suddenly killed him with a lightning storm, directly demonstrating Baidu swordsmanship. In the darkness, dark stars flashed on the sword's blade, and Lange's sword energy tore through the air and stabbed the willow tree. "You little brat, you still want to attack me, haha." He was not afraid at all. Zhang Zizai has already seen his battles. His totem is a heaven-level totem, called the Soul Forbidden Book Totem. It has the totem characteristic of Soul Forbidden Book. It seems to have a similar effect to the soul-suppressing talisman, and is suitable for people with lower soul realms. Has a terrifying suppressive effect. Zhang Zizai has a soul realm that exceeds that of ordinary people. The Tegzu universe soul refining technique has honed his soul to a very deep level. The totem characteristic of Xiang Liashu is actually difficult to threaten him. However, he has the 8th level of true qi in the Xuanmei realm, surpassing Zhang Zizai by 3 levels, and has an absolute suppressive effect on true qi. However, because he let the opponent win, he had some injuries at the National Defense Banquet, and now he is drinking too much, so his combat effectiveness must be greatly reduced. Let me show you my wind-breaking fist and cloud-turning palm. These are moon-level combat tactics. When used together, they are extremely powerful. The fist can break the wind and the palm can turn the clouds. Xiang Liashu's move was indeed extremely powerful, and Zhang Zizai's Baidu sword controlling technique was completely suppressed by the majestic true qi. However, his condition was too bad. Sometimes he didn't even see Zhang Zizai's position clearly, and he attacked randomly, all hitting the empty space. "How is it? Your brother-in-law is awesome." Haha, he laughed while fighting. In the true qi bombardment, Zhang Zizai did feel a sting in his soul. The power of his totem should be quite effective against other opponents. However, Zhang Zizai still sneered secretly. Because there is no easier opportunity to send him to hell than tonight? What will be the consequences? Zhang Zizai didn't consider it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 183. Don't run away, haha. Xiang Liashu squinted his eyes. He might have thought that he was playing a cat and mouse game. Little did he know that Zhang Zizai was just avoiding the edge temporarily, waiting for the fatal blow. Soon, he waited for this opportunity. This is the time when Xiang Liashu has the most flaws. He doesn't even care about standing. His world is spinning. Where can he fight? After dodging his front attack, he was already weak. The soul calming talisman in Zhang Zizai's hand suddenly flew away and quietly landed on the back of his head in the darkness. Totem runes are printed on it. Ah, Xiang Liashu screamed, and in the stinging pain, he actually woke up a little. Then he saw that Zhang Zizai's dragon nether sword transformed into an épée. The épée was huge and thick, with black flames burning on it. The flames condensed into a divine dragon, engulfing the dragon nether sword, and its soul stung. In an instant, he slashed forward, and the power of that sword made Zhang Zizai feel like a ghost. Haha, what a trick, he actually still laughed, which showed that he was not awake at all. At this moment, he just continued to use cloud-turning palm to fly Zhang Zizai away. Click. This sword is the dragon-stealing swordsmanship, Fire Dragon Prison. With a sword strike, Xiang Liashu screamed in despair, because his palm was cut off directly. It was not until the severe pain at this moment that he woke up. Zhang Zizai, you are looking for death, he roared crazily, losing his palm and almost destroying half of his life. But Zhang Zizai wanted to destroy more than half of it. This half was not enough to calm his anger. That sword was like a black flame dragon. After cutting off the palm of his hand, the dragon's head pierced directly into Xiang Liashu's chest and passed through from behind. A heavy sword nearly as wide as two palms passed through the chest, and the black dragon nether sword chi and the explosion damage of the fire dragon prison penetrated the body instantly. Xiang Liashu's blood was almost burned away. You are looking for death, no one can blame you. Zhang Zizai held the hilt of Long Yujian and looked at the man in front of him who was penetrated by his heavy sword and could not even fall to the ground. You dare to kill me, you are dead. His eyes were extremely desperate. His palmless hand went to press the sword on his chest, trying to pull the sword out, but this was the case. Powerless. I don't want to die, I don't want to die. His expression at this moment was despairing and collapsed. He looked at Zhang Zizai tremblingly. Maybe he really regretted it, he was afraid, but there is such a thing as the fragrance of Li Ren in this world. But there is no regret medicine. In the next life, you must respect women. When Zhang Zizai drew out the Longjia sword, the burning of the fire dragon prison burned his internal organs and blood. Xiang Liashu closed his eyes completely in despair. People are dead. Zhang Zizai's murderous intent also disappeared, and he became calm and indifferent. Xiaobao. Looking back, Zhang Yanning was holding the door with a pale face, tears in her eyes. Zhang Zizai felt sorry for her. Before he killed his opponent, she watched from the side, but it did not affect Zhang Zizai. Do you know what happened? Zhang Zizai asked. After you left, he talked to me and put something over my mouth. It was nothing at the time, but after he came back, I felt a little strange. Sure enough, he turned out to be so crazy. There was also something in her eyes. Hiding fear and hatred. Now that she knows, that's fine. Xiang Liashu was so bold that he didn't even bother to drink because he was sure that Zhang Yanning wouldn't dare to resist after being violated by him. Now, this bitch is dead and deserves his punishment. From now on, you don't have to be afraid of him. Zhang Zizai wiped the blood from Long Yu's sword. But, what should we do next? She was a little panicked. This is the Prime Minister's grandson. The eldest son of the Lord Protector. The heir to their family, the hope for the future, was killed by Zhang Zizai like this. Zhang Zizai was very calm. He said, fortunately, this place is remote enough and no one has noticed it for the time being. I will take him out secretly and bury him right away. You hurry up and take care of the scene. You must remember that no matter who asks in the future, you must insist that he is not there at all. It's okay if you haven't been here before. He had already planned it, he could not kill people without leaving a way out. Zhang Yanning is also a smart person. She nodded quickly and said, you killed him when he was drunk. Normally, you are not his opponent. No one will doubt you. Maybe someone knew that Xiang Liashu had come to see her, but she just had to confirm it. There was no evidence anyway, and it was impossible for her to do anything to Xiang Liashu. But there are so many people outside now, how do you take his body out? She was nervous and confused. Zhang Zizai directly put Xiang Liashu's body into the space jade pendant, not even letting go of the broken palm. Zhang Yanning only needed to clean it up. Only then did she remember that Zhang Zizai had such a treasure, and now it was absolutely foolproof. I can't stay here. It's time to leave. Remember what I said and don't reveal the secret, Zhang Zizai calmly warned. Don't worry, this is not difficult, she nodded. Maybe she was still a little unable to react, but she didn't expect her brother to be so powerful. Zhang Zizai looked around. He took a few steps and then looked back at her. She was also watching him. Sister, whoever wants to bully you in this life, tell me, no matter who it is, I will send him to hell, he said seriously. Zhang Yuning's eyes were red, and she nodded. Having such a brother is also a blessing in life. You are so good, it's worth it that your sister took care of you when you were a child. You are so naughty, and I can't eat all day, and mother asked me to give in to you. Thinking of the past, it was really beautiful. Zhang Zizai smiled, yes, those who owe you will be returned to you, and you will enjoy your brother's protection in the future. After saying that, he quickly disappeared into the darkness. Zhang Zizai took a deep breath. She was not a coward. She cleaned up the bloodstains and the battle scene, and when everything was restored to normal, she hurried to Dong Yangjing's side. She has been practicing with Dong Yangjing these days, but she came back to her side because Dong Yangjing had something to do tonight. Now no one will doubt if she goes there to wait for her. At that time, it can even be said that she didn't go back at all. She is not afraid of the future. Nalan Mountain. Deep in the valley, Zhang Zizai used the dragon spirit sword to dig a big pit, threw the body of Xiang Liashu in, and buried it. He buried it very deep, and transplanted some trees on top, so basically no one would find it. Finally it was done, he breathed a sigh of relief. Today, there was no danger. Just when he was taking a breath, a girl in a light golden dress came out from the side. Her face was still a little rosy. She stared at Zhang Zizai with shock. You killed Xiang Liashu, Princess Shenxiao glared at him. Why are you still haunting and not leaving? Zhang Zizai said impatiently. How should I know? There are trees everywhere. I walked for a long time and didn't get out. It was speechless that someone like her could get lost. So, do you want to tell others that I am the murderer and punish me? Zhang Zizai picked up the dragon spirit sword and walked towards her. Princess Shenxiao smiled slightly, feeling that her plan had succeeded. She said, yes, not only did I see it, I also used the image symbol to record the process of you burying him. She held up an image symbol. She had all the evidence against Zhang Zizai, so she was a little proud. Very good, then I can only bury you and him together. The murderous intent in Zhang Zizai's eyes erupted again. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 184. He really wasn't kidding. If Princess Shenxiao kept the evidence of his murder and threatened him with it, he would really have murderous intentions. Tonight, she had no one to protect her. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Although Princess Shenxiao is mainly dead, the subsequent anger of Emperor Yanlong will definitely be quite troublesome, and Zhang Zizai will probably be found out. It will definitely be troublesome then. However, if she shows her determination to give Zhang Zizai a jade and is determined to cause trouble, Zhang Zizai will have no other choice. If she announces it, the Prime Minister's mansion will definitely kill Zhang Zizai for revenge, and it will be difficult to stop her even if she goes to the temple. That's why when Zhang Zizai mentioned Long Yujian, the murderous intention in his eyes was so obvious. This frightened Princess Shenxiao. She was stunned for a moment and said, "Are you crazy? This is the talisman you gave me. I am not a villain like you. How can I carry the image talisman with me?" Zhang Zizai took a closer look and saw that what she was holding was really a soul-calming talisman. After hearing this, he sneered and said, "You are not a villain yet. You have tried every possible means to hang on me with the dragon soul jade. If I hadn't looked down on you, I would have definitely changed you from a young girl to a young woman today. Only in this way can I relieve the hatred in my heart. I already regret that matter. I was wrong. I apologize to you." She lowered her head and said, "Apologize, it's so whimsical, haha." He walked forward and looked at her eagerly. "What do you want to do?" Princess Shenxiao took a few steps back and looked at him warily. The effect of the medicine on her body had not been completely removed, and about a quarter of the alluring fragrance was still there. "I don't believe you don't have an image charm. I want to search you. Let her see that he killed someone, which is troublesome in itself. This woman is scheming and can act. Who knows if she is pretending to be stupid now? If I am not careful and let her really record the process of burying someone, that will be troublesome." "You are acting like a gangster." Seeing his look, it was hard for Shen Xiao not to blush. In fact, he remembered everything just now clearly. Zhang Zizai was too lazy to care about her, so he went straight to it and searched her pockets where things could easily be hidden. Princess Shengxiao's ears were red, but she didn't resist. Her voice was as thin as a mosquito, and she said, "I said it's gone." "What is this?" Zhang Zizai found a piece of soft cloth, took it out and saw that it was a small belly band. "Go to hell," she quickly snatched it back, her voice trembling as she spoke. "What's that pattern on there, a little rabbit?" "Haha. After a quick glance, I still saw it." "Stop talking." She really wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it. Princess Shenxiao Zhang Zizai's face turned serious. She might be a little uncomfortable with this title. Zhang Zizai stared at her, his eyes full of aggression. He asked, "I killed Xiang Liashu. Although you have no evidence, you can tell me. If you can bring people to find the body and describe what happened, it is also a way to kill me method, isn't it?" "You're wrong. I just want to defeat you myself. If I really want to kill you, it's just a matter of words." There are many people like Qin Qin around her. If it's not just assassination, no one will ask, just like the boss. The second prince did the same. "Very good, in that case, I believe you for the last time. Otherwise, I may have to live or die with you tonight," Zhang Zizai said. "You underestimate me," she frowned and said, "I lost to you at the Six Palaces Grand Meeting. I am not convinced. I will only suppress you with my own hands so that you will not be able to hold your head up in front of me from now on. Let the world let's see who the real genius is." "You're quite ambitious." Zhang Zizai suddenly smiled. He stared at Princess Shengxiao's chest without taking his eyes away. "What are you looking at?" She really couldn't stand such hot eyes. Zhang Zizai smiled slightly. He stared at Princess Shenxiao again, then pointed at the full left part of her chest and said, "There is a red spot as big as a little finger at your position. Not many people in the world know about it. If one day, when I heard the news that I had killed Xiang Liashu, I would run to the street and tell you about this red dot. I said that you seduced me and had sex with my sister's husband. I wanted to see it. With a reputation like yours, how can you compete for the position of emperor in the future?" Regarding his shameless words, Princess Shenxiao was really amazed and dumbfounded. There is indeed a red spot on her spot, which is a birthmark. Only my parents knew. That was when I was a child, but now it has long been their privacy. Of course he saw it clearly just now. Although this matter was small, if Zhang Zizhe really did this, it would have a huge impact on her. If a person loses his reputation, is even ridiculed, and becomes synonymous with shameless women, it is indeed impossible for him to still want to compete for the throne. Therefore, although Zhang Zizhe's use was shameless, it was very effective, otherwise he would have been really afraid that the other party would use Xiang Liashu's incident as a use to threaten him. It's better now. We don't owe each other anything. I can sleep peacefully. Zhang Zizhe smiled. Princess Shenxiao was afraid that she would make him mad, so she was naturally ashamed and angry. Ever since Zhang Zizhe appeared, he had indeed been able to disturb her state of mind many times, becoming the devil in her heart and causing her to split into two personalities. In the past, she was sure that she had only one goal, but now, the demon in her heart has cultivated another her, one who is struggling between love and hate. Goodbye, she agreed by default. Zhang Zizhe said this and left. Wait. What's wrong with you? Zhang Zizhe asked. Take me out first, I'm lost. Okay, follow me, I'll treat it as walking the dog. Then I'll treat it as a pig leading the way for me. You need a pig to lead the way, doesn't it mean that your IQ is not as good as a pig? Finally brought her out, Zhang Zizhe dumped her directly and quickly returned to the temple in the dark. It's impossible for him to have a good impression of Princess Shenxiao anymore, so he didn't know that someone was standing there, watching his back as he left, and it took a long time to come back to his senses. I let you slip away today, another day, I will make you lose in my hands. She really didn't forget her fundamental purpose. Defeat him, completely break the inner demon, and then leave Zhang Zizhe behind in the future. Only if she is stronger than him, she will have a future. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 185. When he returned to the temple, Juxian was waiting for him. Zhang Zizhe sighed that his wife was still more pleasing to the eye. The size of her figure was not comparable to that of Princess Shenxiao. What's that smell on you? Zhang Zizhe, you cheated on me. As soon as he entered the door, Juxian's face suddenly turned cold. This scared Zhang Zizhe so much that he almost knelt on the washboard to admit his mistake. Today he had no choice but to lie. He told the story, hiding the existence of Princess Shenxiao, saying that Xiang Liashu had drugged his sister, and he happened to go back and kill him. As for the smell on his body, it was the smell of the drug that his sister had been injected with. Li Rengxiang, Xiang Liashu, really deserves to die. She smelled it carefully and could smell it, even knowing the species. Departure incense. Do you know this thing? When my sister was young, someone used this thing against me, but it didn't work on me and I killed him directly. A man who actually used such a despicable thing, no matter who he is, should die 1,000 times or 10,000 times. She was still quite disgusted with such behavior. She explained the effect of the departure incense, and Zhang Zizhe knew how thrilling it was today. It's not exposed, how to deal with the corpse? Juxian asked with concern. Zhang Zizhe said it again. He had a space jade pendant, and no one would suspect that he could bring out a corpse. Only then did she feel relieved, and said apologetically, I was too fierce just now. I hate men who are promiscuous the most. Fortunately, you are not one. He, no, I really am not one. Zhang Zizhe smiled awkwardly. Why do you seem a little guilty? Her eyes were so venomous. Nonsense, by the way, after a battle, I feel I can sprint to a new realm. Tonight, he hurriedly changed the subject. If she smelled the scent of Princess Shenxiao on him, he would be finished. She was more interested in the new realm. With her help, Zhang Zizhe didn't need to worry about the problem of heaven and earth energy. When the two of them practiced at the same time, it was like building a bridge, which could guide a large amount of heaven and earth energy to converge towards them, and the effect was comparable to being surrounded by spiritual stones. Juxian said that this was her totem characteristic, which was only effective for men with dragon totems. Practicing together would be twice the result with half the effort for both of them. Her smart little fox at the center of her eyebrows was really cute. In this way, we are really a perfect match. That's a beautiful thought. Sister is just using you. If there is a more suitable one, I will definitely dump you first. Don't, I'm still very useful, you can enjoy it more. Zhang Ziban wanted to change the subject, but he didn't expect that this night, he really found a way to break through the 6th level of the Xuanmei realm. The 6th level of Xianbing Tianlong Qi has been worked hard for more than a month. He is now practicing the Ice Dragon Thorn of Zhuolong sword art, and he really needs a breakthrough in this realm urgently. This night, the ice covered his body, and by dawn, the Xianbing Tianlong Qi took shape. He possessed the icy Qi attribute and the effect of freezing. Now he has 6 major Xuanmei and 6 kinds of Qi, and the combined power is quite terrifying. In terms of the nature of Qi, he is far superior to others. In fact, ordinary wild-level Qi can hardly compare with him. The Xuanmei realm is to connect the 9 points of the Wuoming realm from beginning to end to form a more complete totem outline. At that time, the 9 Xuanmei in the body will present the outline of the natal totem. People distinguish this outline from the natal totem and call it the martial arts totem. The martial arts totem is actually a combination of Qi. Only when the 9 Xuanmei are connected can the martial arts totem be considered formed. Zhang Zizai has broken through 6 mysterious veins, and his martial arts totem has gradually taken shape, with 3 realms left. Princess Shenxiao is now at the 7th level of the mysterious vein realm. Both of them have wild-level totems, but Zhang Zizai's totem is definitely stronger. If they fight each other, Zhang Zizai is confident that he can defeat her in a head-on battle. In the next period of time, his training goal is to start sprinting to the 7th level of the mysterious vein realm and to impact the holy body realm as soon as possible, which is a realm he dared not imagine before. Of course, practicing the Zhuolong sword technique completely is also the top priority. Zhang Zizai has verified the power of the Zhuolong sword technique today, even if it is just to deal with a drunkard, it is quite explosive. The next morning, when he broke through, Juxian was as excited as a child. No, the smell of Lorengxiang is gone, there is a different smell on your hand, she pouted and doubted again. The nose is really sensitive. Zhang Zizai said, how is it possible? Is it the smell of blood? Well, it is indeed the smell of blood. When Zhang Zizai heard her words, he was finally saved. Fortunately, there was still the smell of blood on his hands, otherwise she would have smelled the scent of Princess Shenxiao. His palms really went through everything. And at this time, someone came to save him. Ruo Xiaoyu came jumping in. She was sensible. She knocked on the door first. After getting a response, she came in a little embarrassed and said, "Brother, priest, I disturbed your rest too early. Don't blame Xiaoyu. Of course not, Juxian likes her very much. Every day, he gives her clothes that he can't wear. For example, the ones that are tied on the chest. Brother Baishan's totem has evolved successfully. You should go and have a look," Ruo Xiaoyu asked. Baishan Jin is the one with the lowest probability of evolution. Zhang Zizai was still worried that it would not succeed. He succeeded. He is really lucky. Let's go. Juxian also went over. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Baishan Jin screaming. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. Heaven level totem, I am a peerless genius, I should be able to marry 10 wives to pass on the family line for my Baishan family, hee. That's a nice thought. Juxian walked in and immediately scared Baishan Jin to death. He quickly jumped off the table and saw Zhang Zizai. He slid down and knelt down and smiled, "Everyone, is my posture cool? Get up, ugly as a dog. Zhang Zizai lifted him up and took a look at his totem. It was indeed much more complicated than before. How does it feel? Juxian asked. It's perfect. The original wind and fire domain was reserved. Adding the characteristics of Wuji to the domain can be more chaotic and bring out the characteristics of the wind and fire domain several times more. Wuji is chaos and improvement. After the successful evolution, his totem became the Wuji Parrot Totem. As a heaven-level totem, it will not be bad. He was about to show off, but Wan Qian just walked in from outside. Seeing the joy on his face, he saw that his totem had also evolved successfully and became the Dream Thousand Eyes Bug Totem. Zhang Ziyi noticed his eyes at first sight. They were originally like stars, but now they were spinning, like a starry vortex. If you look at them for a few more times, you will lose your mind and fall into it. He walked in front of Zhang Zizai with some excitement. An evolution source can really change your life. Boss, Wan Qian's life will be yours from now on, he said seriously. Bai Shenjin said dumbly, don't do this, snatch a man from me. I'm ready to sleep with him tonight. Do you want to serve him with me? So disgusting, Ruo Xiaoyu couldn't listen anymore and covered her ears. They all evolved successfully, and Zhang Zizai finally put down the stone hanging in his heart. People said that when the evolution source evolved, other people stood outside waiting, just like waiting for their wives to give birth. That kind of nervous mood is definitely comparable. Because the evolution source is so precious, once the evolution fails, you can only cry. And it is a consumable, once the evolution fails, it will be in vain. Only the panda is left. Let's go, wait for him together and see how long he can last. Lu Dingxing's evolution source is a level 4 evolution source, which is also the top evolution source Zhang Zizai has ever seen. God and Demon. Just the name is explosive. The characteristics of gods and demons are also physical changes. Lu Dingxing has the troll as a prelude, so it should be possible to succeed. If there is no troll as a prelude, it will be hanging. Juxian went out, and she told Zhang Zizai that Xiangliashu died. There was nothing wrong for a day or two, but there would definitely be changes over time. It is estimated that someone will ask about Zhang Yuning. She can secretly help Zhang Zizai to look after Zhang Yuning in the next 2 days to avoid any accidents there. Zhang Zizai is very grateful to her. She thinks more thoughtfully than Zhang Zizai. He couldn't go to the Huguo mansion often, so he and 3 other people waited outside Lu Dingxing's house. They would not be at ease until Lu Dingxing came out. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 186. While waiting, Lu Dingxing did not disappoint everyone. His totem successfully evolved to the God-Demon Panda Totem. This God-Demon Panda Totem is considered top level even among the wild level totems. At the totem level, the wild level totem is already the highest level of the entire dynasty. Only the Flame Emperor Holy Dragon Totem and the 9 Tribulations Heavenly Kirin Totem are above the wild level totem. The 3 of them were able to inherit successfully, on the one hand because of luck, and on the other hand because King Zilan selected accurately. King Zilan should be particularly clear about the characteristics of the 3 of them. At Zhang Junjian's age, he was the only one in the dynasty who had a wild level totem. At this level, Zhang Ziyi, Lu Dingxing, and Princess Shenxiao all had wild level totems. After possessing the God-Demon Panda Totem, Lu Dingxing instantly leaped to the level of Zhang Zizai and Princess Shenxiao in terms of talent. In fact, Lu Dingxing had already evolved successfully half a day ago. The reason why he didn't come out was because this time's totem evolution directly made his realm leap by 2 levels. From the original 2nd level of the Xuanmei realm, he directly rushed to the 4th level of the Xuanmei realm. The Xuanmei opening method he is practicing now is the reward he got during the Wuodao trial, and it is also a heavenly level technique. It is called, Ancient Demon Forging Veins. This is what Guyan asked him to choose. Now, the former troll True Qi has been upgraded to the god and demon True Qi. Zhang Zizai saw with his own eyes that this lucky guy made the two top evolution sources of troll and god and demon directly from ordinary geniuses to peerless geniuses. The great role of the evolution source has been longed for by totem warriors since ancient times. The first sentence Lu Dingxing said when he opened the door was, "Boss, the spirit stones you gave me last time are all used up." Very good, the three of them will start to live in poverty in the future. He spent money on drawing talismans himself, and Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu's cultivation also cost money. The fourth level of the Xuanmei realm, Zhang Zizai was shocked. Because Bai Shenjin and Wang Qian only improved one level to the third level of Xuanmei realm, and now Lu Dingxing has surpassed them. With the wild level True Qi, the fourth level of Xuanmei realm, and the totem characteristics of gods and demons, ordinary Xuanmei realm 6th level may not be his opponent, and Zhang Wu and others from Wanshao Palace will be easily crushed by him. What King Zilan sent is really a top-notch gift. In this era, geniuses can really be created directly. Lu Dingxing is experiencing the powerful feeling that belongs to him now. His personality has become much more solid, and he can maintain his original heart after such a big transformation. How does it feel? Zhang Zizai asked. Standing on the clouds, looking down at the world, Lu Dingxing said. Is it cool? If you can beat someone, it will be even cooler, Lu Dingxing said. Wang Qian, Bai Shenjin, go. Zhang Zizai pulled Ruo Xiaoyu back. Now is the time for them to break through. The most important thing is to let them feel what level they are now. The three of them were already eager to fight. It was a hardy battle, and Zhang Zizai was stunned. He didn't expect them to be so strong. Especially the totem characteristics of the three of them, which can be said to be quite difficult to deal with. One has a terrifying body, one controls the domain, and one is proficient in pupil techniques and illusions. If Zhang Zizai had not reached the 6th level of the Xuanmei realm, he would not be able to defeat them if the three of them joined forces. Moreover, their future is also limitless. Perhaps it was King Zilan who created these friends and brothers for him. When the three of them were halfway through the fight, Juxian came back. She went to the Huguo mansion to see that no one was paying attention to Xiang Liashi for the time being. After all, it was normal for them to not be able to find anyone for a few days. She watched the fight between the three and was also stunned. What a group of monsters, let's go, I'll take you to see the god servant. There must be a suitable reason for such a sudden terrifying transformation. Led by Juxian, they entered the forbidden area of the sacrifice temple, which was the territory of the three god servant. It was rumored that there were countless secrets in it. What's the matter? Xinjiao divine servant heard the noise and came out. She should be quite old, but her figure was also very good, and the years had not left any traces on her body. Juxian briefly told the story, and finally said, anyway, it was King Zilan who gave them the fortune, but you need to cover it up, so that the geniuses of your sacrifice temple will not be killed by the flame dragon emperor. After listening to it, the divine servant's eyes fell on Zhang Zizai and his family. It can be seen that she was also very shocked. 2 wild-level totems and 3 heaven-level totems, with them supporting the future, what will happen to the sacrifice temple? You know better than me, Juxian said casually. I know, Xinjiao divine servant nodded. These young people now belong to the sacrifice temple. And the biggest trouble of the sacrifice temple is, the lack of enough geniuses to compete with the royal family. They hit it off. The star god servant pointed at Lu Dingxing and the other 3 and said, show me the power of your totems. Zhang Zizai had seen it all, but he never got tired of it. Bai Shenjin's infinite wind and fire domain was actually an upgraded version of the former wind and fire domain. A large area around him was filled with chaotic wind and fire, and the speed of the airflow increased several times. In the domain, he was everywhere, like a god of fire and storm. The power of the thousands of totems does not look so exaggerated, but it will be of great help to him in continuing to practice illusion and pupil skills in the future. A pair of eyes can make people fall into a dream. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. The key is Lu Dingxing's God Demon Panda Totem. Transformed to show the god servant, Zhang Zizai pushed him out. He was originally tall and strong. The characteristic of his totem is called God Demon Transformation, which is much stronger than the previous Giant Demon Transformation. Lu Dingxing stood in the field, he roared, and suddenly, his body made a fierce change. His whole body was covered with black and white hair, chaotic black and white aura, surrounding his body was surging, constantly growing, changing from a human form to a human-like giant beast. The giant beast stood up, as tall as 3 people, the body was thicker than an elephant, and a pair of huge arms were thicker than Zhang Zizai's waist. This giant beast is wrapped in black and white, with one eye pure black and one pure white. Even the sharp claws like blades are black on one side and white on the other. The teeth are black on the upper jaw and white on the lower jaw. It is a completely black and white mixture of giant beasts. Although it looks like a panda, it is fierce and domineering, more like an ancient prehistoric giant beast. The terrifying aura exuded from its body can scare people to death without fighting. I have seen that totems can change the body, but this is the first time I have seen such a huge beast. Even the star god servant had to raise his head high to see the full appearance of Lu Dingxing at this moment. As tall as 3 people, taller than a 1-story building, and weighing more than 10 times that of Zhang Zizai. Looking at the arms and thighs, any opponent is like a chicken in front of him, and will be turned into meat paste with a slap. When Lu Dingxing first showed the body of this god demon panda, Zhang Zizai was stunned. He could only fight him back if he took action himself. Without the dragon spirit sword, Zhang Zizai probably couldn't even break his skin. If he could participate in the 6 prefectures grand meeting now, the third prince and the others would definitely be beaten with one slap. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 187. Lu Dingxing's transformation absolutely conquered all the star god servant. If they were to participate in the 6 prefectures festival now, it would be easy for us to take the first place in the sacrifice temple. Juxian smiled. The star god servant must consider the future of the sacrifice temple. They, the god servant, will grow old one day, and someone will be needed in the future. Zhang Zizai alone is already amazing enough. And these people have transformed because of King Zilan. They are already bound to Zhang Zizai. If she wants to protect one, she needs to protect all of them. After seeing Lu Dingxing's god and demon panda, the star god servant first glanced at Baishanjin and Wanqian, and said, "They are the 3rd level evolution source, which is easy to deal with. I will just say that I took them into the evolution cave and found their suitable evolution source. Although the heaven level totem is difficult to create, the sacrifice temple still has the strength to do so." Then, she looked at the panda. "As for you, I will discuss with Yu Yin. If he agrees, he can claim that he just got the 4th level evolution source god and demon and selected a suitable disciple for evolution. Your identity is sensitive, Yu Yin may not agree, wait for my news." Yu Yin, that is the 2nd most powerful god servant of the sacrifice temple. Yu Yin god servant. After all, Lu Yuan just passed away. The sacrifice temple is training Lu Dingxing at this time, which is obviously against the Flame Dragon Emperor, so it is necessary to seek the consent of Yu Yin god servant himself. Zhang Zizai knows that Xinjiao god servant is actually slightly worse than the other 2 god servants. Those 2 god servants are the real horror. Next, it depends on whether Lu Dingxing's talent makes Yu Yin god servant love talents. In the future, you must grow up with peace of mind. Remember one sentence. No matter how great the genius is, before growing into a real strong man, he is a waste. Xinjiao, God's servant said earnestly. Zhang Zizai understands what she means. Being alive is everything. For example, Xiang Liashu has infinite possibilities in the future. He can even inherit the family tradition and become the prime minister of the dynasty and assist the emperor. But as long as he dies, everything will be gone. After thanking the star god servant, they said goodbye and left. They were all eager to learn more and make themselves stronger, so that they could have the right to speak in their destiny. Imperial City, East Palace. Even in broad daylight, there are often lewd sounds in Changal Palace, and the eunuchs and palace maids have long been accustomed to it. This Li Rengxiang is really good, just this little bit, and Ying can't stand it. After it was over, the prince lay lazily, holding a hot woman in his arms. Who would have thought that there are such wonderful things in the world? Xiang Liashu looks gentle, but he has such tricks. The prince smiled. It's already afternoon, and this guy hasn't come to me yet. It seems that he was too passionate last night. You too, you have to be more restrained in the future, you are not as brave as before. It's Aunt Ying who is too powerful. The prince has admitted defeat. You just hid some Li Renxiang, tell Aunt Ying, do you want to use it to deal with Dongyang Jing? He laughed dumbly. Aunt Ying is smart. She will be your crown princess soon, and you still have to use Li Renxiang to deal with her. Aunt Ying doesn't know, this girl has a very strong personality, she must be thinking of eloping with Zhang Junjian. I have to make her obedient before the marriage, so that she can willingly marry me. Then there will be nothing for Aunt Ying in the future, the woman said aggrievedly. Auntie Ying, what are you talking about? You watched me grow up, don't you know how I feel? I'll get old one day, those little girls are much more delicious to you than me. Nonsense, in my heart, Auntie Ying is still the most delicious. Last night, Xiang Liashu said he would come to the palace the next day to talk to me about his feelings, but it was already evening and he hadn't shown up yet. Long Yun packed up, he planned to go to the Prime Minister's mansion and see how much stock Xiang Liashu had left. Walking out of the East Palace, before leaving the Imperial City, in a long narrow road, a girl in a light golden dress came towards him. That was Princess Shenxiao. She walked alone, lowered her head, and looked worried, and it was clear that something had happened that made her panic. Seeing her frivolous steps, the prince laughed in his heart. According to his experience, the girl must have lost her virginity last night. He personally tested the power of the Li Rengxiang, and a young girl like her who had never experienced anything could not resist it at all. Xiao Zhao, have you just returned from the Holy Dragon Palace? He stopped and asked with a smile. In fact, he knew that she had hurried back last night. His spies had said that Princess Shenxiao had been in the Imperial City all day today and had not gone to the Holy Dragon Palace to practice. In the past, she had been practicing hard in the Holy Dragon Palace every day. Princess Shenxiao glanced at him and said lightly, I didn't go to the Holy Dragon Palace today. After saying that, she was about to pass by. She knew that the Li Rengxiang must have been done by him, but these insidious means did not need to be brought out. There was no evidence in itself. It would be stupid for her to make a fuss. By the way, there is something that bothers me a little. The prince paused and said, Lingxian is getting married. As a brother, I have to give something as a dowry. Do you have any good suggestions? Princess Shenxiao said, it's up to you. She already knew that the other party wanted her to entangle with Zhang Zizai and wanted to use this matter to stimulate herself. He must have thought that she and Zhang Zizai had already cooked rice. She was calm now, not afraid that the other party would think so, or even play along with her, so she said, Lingxian is not your biological sister, you don't need to worry about it. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. You can't say that, after all, she is a princess and I am a prince. Things of affection still have to go, the prince said with a smile. he looked at Cheng Xiao's face and said, "Why do you look a little unhappy? Do you have any objections to this marriage? I heard some gossip these days, saying that you are interested in Zhang Zizai. I thought, Lingxian is your sister, how could you? These people are talking nonsense, they really need to be punished in the future." Shen Xiao sneered in his heart. She had experienced a night of thinking, and she already knew what she should do. She must not be involved with Zhang Zizai again. She kept her mother's words in mind. Even the prince wanted her to entangle with Zhang Zizai. How could she still get into that vortex? However, she didn't mind letting him think that she had been tricked. So she said, "You don't have to worry about it at all. They are just married by the emperor. Lingxuan's character is that she won't like anyone. This marriage is just a formality. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first." She didn't deny those rumors. It was also a false impression she wanted to give to the prince. After she finished speaking, she walked around him. After she left, the prince sneered, "It seems that Xiao Zhao is really addicted. This plan has been half successful. The other half depends on Lingxian. This girl is really weird. If she can compete with Xiao Zhao, it will be perfect. I don't have to do anything, and I can reap the benefits. The key is to find a way to let Lingxian compete with her." Soon, he laughed. A brilliant plan had appeared in his mind. He couldn't wait to go to Lingyanzai. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 188. Night, Lingyanzai. The people in the imperial dining room had just put away the delicious food. Princess Lingxian touched her bulging belly, returned to the yard, and sat on the swing. Over the years, she has developed the ability to practice while swinging on the swing. She has not been to the Holy Dragon Palace for more than 2 months. In the dead of night, no one dared to make a noise in the huge imperial city. She closed her eyes and swayed gently under the red lantern. She had just tasted a brand new delicacy, and she felt so full of food and clothing. This was the best time of the day for her, and she couldn't help humming the songs of her childhood. She could just rock like this and not speak for days and nights. Suddenly, someone came in from outside with heavy footsteps. Princess Lingxian quickly opened her eyes, looking expectantly. However, she soon became a little distracted. She realized that she was overthinking and that it was impossible. It was said that her parents had been killed for many years. Unexpectedly, the person who came in was Prince Longyun. He had never been here before. "Your Highness." Princess Lingxian got off the swing and saluted slightly. She lowered her head, but she also knew that the other party was looking at her. Time flies so fast. You were still a little girl a few years ago, and now you are getting married, Longyun said with a smile. "Your Highness, what's the matter with me?" In fact, she didn't like people disturbing her at night. Longyun said, "You look so pitiful. There is something I want to tell you." Princess Lingxian raised her head blankly. She didn't think he would say anything good to her. She had never had any interactions with him since they were young. Longyun stared into her red eyes and said, "You definitely don't know that your parents may not be dead. They just went to a place where they can't come back." "What did you say?" Lingxian suddenly felt that the whole world was cracked. The facts that had been there for so many years were easily broken in his mouth. He spoke so firmly that she was suffocated at the moment. The trembling in her eyes and her struggle at the moment were all what Longyun expected. "I know where they are. My mother told me." "There are no more than 5 people in the world who know where they are," Longyun said seriously. "Where?" "But, His Majesty said they have passed away." Lingxian couldn't control herself a little. She felt it was difficult to breathe. Her red eyes were staring at him closely, and her whole thoughts were completely controlled by Longyun. "My father? He won't tell you. It's not the time for you to know about this matter yet." Let me tell you that this matter is very complicated and involves a lot. He also has a lot of guilt about it, so I guess he is prepared to spend his whole life. They won't tell you, after all, it's impossible for them to come back. Everything he said seemed to be true. But even if it might be fake, as long as there is a glimmer of hope, as long as there is a slight possibility of reality, she can instantly become a different person. Her heart, which had been silent for more than 10 years, seemed to be resurrected at this moment. Tears flowed from her eyes. She stared at Longyun blankly, feeling extremely confused. Why is it complicated? Why don't you tell me, why? If you want to know, I can tell you, but you must not tell anyone, nor let others know that you already know. So, what do you want in exchange for me? Lingxian knew that he must need her, so he would take the risk in exchange for something that the Dragon Emperor Yan didn't even want to say. Longyun smiled slightly and said, "Let me tell you frankly, I am afraid of Xiaozhao, fearing that she will affect my future accession to the throne. She happens to be entangled with your fiancé, and I want you to compete with her to take what belongs to you. Just keep it in your hands and don't let her get involved. If she wants to fight, she will be ruined and she will no longer be a threat to me. If she doesn't fight, then I can't do anything to her. What you have to do is very simple, you just need to follow one principle, Zhang Zizhe, he is yours." She didn't expect that he would speak so clearly and straightforwardly. "Then when will you tell me where they are?" Lingxian only had this thing in mind. "It depends on your performance. Normally, as long as I defeat Xiaozhao, I can tell you the truth. Of course, if she is really not interested in Zhang Zizhe anymore, it has nothing to do with you, and I will also tell you the truth. Xian, you know very well in your heart that I just want to successfully ascend the throne in the future. Xiaozhao is a princess. From now on, she will be her princess honestly. She is not this material. Everything you have done is to let her go as she should. Don't get involved in things that don't belong to her." Longyun stared at her and said, "You must remember not to let anyone know our agreement, especially my father. It is impossible for him to let you know the truth. You have to believe me, I am very honest with you, my parents' status is a trivial matter to me, so it's okay for me to tell you. But if you let others know about our agreement, then I'm sure you will never know the truth in your life. You will never know the truth for the rest of your life." "The truth, what is it?" "Lingxian, you are not exaggerating at all. Zhang Zizhe is the husband given to you by your father. Why should Shen Xiao come to take care of you? Why should she take everything away from you? How much has she robbed from you over the years?" Princess Lingxian stood there with her head lowered and fell into confusion. "They're not dead, they're not dead." These words were like a magic spell, changing everything in her life of more than 10 years. Maybe before, she didn't know the meaning of living at all, but at this moment, she suddenly found it. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. She wanted to see them, she was so eager that she even knew that she might not be able to know the truth in the end, and she wanted to chase the truth. Life has meaning, and her desperate life has life-saving straw. I'll give you time, you have to think about it. You are not harming Shen Xiao, but you are helping her. As for your brother and I just want to go on smoothly. I believe you can understand me, right?" He saw Lingxuan's reaction clearly, and he knew very well how important this matter was to her. The importance would make someone like this idiot do a lot of stupid things. They are very miserable in that place. They definitely want to see you, but they have no choice. No one can go to that place, and no one can save them. Maybe you can go find them in the future, because that place, you can only go in, but you can't go out. Therefore, even my father can't save them. The reason why he doesn't tell you is because he is afraid that you will go there rashly. But my brother feels that you should not be deceived for the rest of your life. You have the right to know. The truth. Okay, I understand. Her tears flowed down, making her clothes wet. I know, they are still alive, I dreamed of them, they are still alive. She trembled, choked, holding the skirt of her clothes with both hands, her whole body trembling uncontrollably. Thank you for your hard work. Without the care of my parents, it must have been very hard these years. The prince reached out his hand and wanted to touch her head. Lingxian took a step back, not letting him touch her. It's really unbearable. I really don't know how my father could bear to hide it from you. Stop talking, just go. I will do what you say. I hope you can abide by what you say, otherwise I will not let you go even if I am a ghost. Lingxian suddenly raised her head. The blood-red eyes in her eyes were like tears of blood. It was the first time Long Yun saw such eyes, and he trembled. However, he soon smiled. He was just an idiot, there was nothing to worry about. If he dared to use it, he wouldn't be afraid that she would escape his control. Don't say such things to your brother. Come on, this is the dowry I gave you. It's a moon-level totem weapon specially made by someone. It's called the Blood-Weeping Blade. I believe it will suit you. He took out a short sword from behind and placed it in Princess Lingxuan's hand. The blade was in the scabbard, but one could also feel the ferocious bloody light of the sword. It can suck blood. The prince smiled slightly, took 2 steps back, and warned, Yan'er, judging by your performance, neither of us brothers and sisters will let each other down, right? Lingxian gently pulled out the weeping blood blade from the scabbard. It was a blood-red blade, the same color as her eyes. Like a sword made for her. She said nothing, looked at the sword, and then at the prince. The prince continued to smile, then turned and left, his figure quickly disappearing into the darkness. She stood for a long time and suddenly remembered something. She rushed into the room and found a map. There were many circles drawn on it, and she was eager to know where she could get in and where she couldn't get out. Dad, Mom, when you were dreaming, why didn't you tell Yan'er directly? If I had known earlier, I would have gone to find you 10 years ago. It's too much of you to not tell me. Her tears kept falling, soaking the entire map. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 189. The sun rises in the east, and the wise ruler attends the morning court. This happened a few days later, and the Crown Prince Long Yun and the Prime Minister met in the side hall first. Your Highness, may I ask if you have seen my unfilial grandson these days? Xiang Liuqiu frowned and asked. The Crown Prince then remembered that there had been no news about Xiang Liuqiu for a few days. He wanted to find him last time, but he went to Princess Lingxian and forgot about him. He shook his head and said, No, it seems that he hasn't come to see me since the National Defense Banquet. That's strange. Such a big person, there is no sound in Yanlongxiu, not at home, nor in the National Defense Mansion. If he wants to go out, he must say hello. Why is there no sound at all? Since when? The Crown Prince asked hurriedly. I haven't seen him since the National Defense Banquet, Xiang Liuqiu said. Does he know what Xiang Liuqiu will do during the National Defense Banquet? He thought he was overworked, but there was no news. Where is Zhang Yuning? He asked hurriedly. Who is Zhang Yuning? Asked the old Prime Minister. Zi Lin Wang's daughter, Xiang Liuqiu is in the Huguo mansion, and he is quite close to her. Zhang Yuning and Dong Yangjing are together every day. The prince also frowned. There has been no news for several days. Something might have happened. Otherwise, with the great magical powers of the Prime Minister's mansion, how could they not find anyone? I will ask Xiang Liuqiu to ask this Zhang Yuning later. Zi Lin Wang's daughter, this kid is so bold again, he wants to provoke anyone, Xiang Liuqiu snorted coldly, really hating iron for steel. On the day when Zi Linwang had an accident, he had warned that he must not have any intersection with the people of the Kailan royal family. The two wanted to say more, but Eunuch Qian had already announced the start of the morning court, and they could only enter the Golden Palace one after another to deal with business. After finishing the business, Emperor Yanlong seemed to be in a good mood. He said, "It seems that I haven't gone to Longshan to hunt for a while. Pass on my order. After the morning court tomorrow, the royal family members will gather at the east gate and go to Longshan with me to relax. We have established our country by force for several months. Let me see the ability of our royal descendants. Hunting in Longshan. This is a small event for the royal family. About 2 or 3 months, Emperor Yanlong will bring a group of young royal family members to Longshan. He will come to relax and see the scenery of nature. The young royal descendants must work hard to perform and compete with each other so that Emperor Yanlong can see their progress during this period of time. Every time he hunts, Emperor Yanlong will bring all the young people in the family. All the princes and princesses must be present. In addition, there will be the descendants of the 3 dragon kings, the descendants of the princes and princesses, and some side branches whose blood is related to Emperor Yanlong's father. They will all be present, with a scale of about 50 or 60 people. At that time, the royal descendants will enter the huge Longshan for hunting. How many prey they can hunt depends on themselves. Those who lead the way in hunting in Longshan will definitely be praised by Emperor Yanlong. That is a good opportunity to show off. The prey in Longshan is not ordinary wild beasts. There are all sorts beasts there. Half of them are directly raised by the royal family, and the other half are captured and put in by the dynasty's strong men from all over the dynasty. It is a closed hunting ground. Outsiders cannot enter, and the source beasts inside cannot come out. It is a place where the royal family specially trains the younger generation. Eunuch Qian listened to the order. He will arrange to notify all the royal descendants. In fact, most of the time, there are also many princes and concubines of Emperor Yanlong. It is equivalent to a royal amusement, which lasts about a day. Emperor Yanlong thought for a while and said, "By the way, call Zhang Zizai and Dong Yangjing. Young people, cooperate with each other and cultivate feelings." Eunuch Qian nodded quickly. "Zhang Zizai is going too." The Crown Prince Long Yun raised his eyebrows. "Shen Xiao and Ling Xian will definitely be there, and then, maybe something interesting will happen." After the morning court ended, less than half an hour later, the palace's little Yuanzi came to the temple of sacrifice. Hunting in Longshan, Zhang Zizai was practicing hard. "Your Majesty has ordered that the little prince be present on time tomorrow. I have notified everyone." "Okay, I got it." Zhang Zizai knew about this project. Zhang Junjian seemed to have participated in it before, and he beat the crown prince to win the first place. There will be many people present at that time, and there will be no danger. Moreover, the wedding date is getting closer and closer. Normally, he has no chance to see the Flame Dragon Emperor. He wants to ask when he can release Zhang Junjian. The next morning, Zhang Zizai changed into light clothes and came to the East City Gate. He came quite early, but the royal children had already arrived. These people of this age were the future pillars of the Yanlong royal family. There were 8 princes, 2 princesses, 3 princes, and many children of princes and princesses, a total of 50 or 60 people. It was the first time that Zhang Zizai saw the other 7 princes. They were probably between 15 and 20 years old. Since the birth of Shen Xiao, the Yanlong emperor seemed to have no interest in having children. Zhang Zizai looked at the princes for a few times. Their realms were also between the 4th and 8th levels of the Xuanmei realm. They were basically all heaven-level totems, but they seemed to be a little worse than the prince. In terms of talent, they were indeed incomparable to Princess Shen Xiao. They were all competitors of the prince, but it seemed that Shen Xiao, who now had a wild level totem, was the biggest threat. Sister Dongyang, Zhang Zizai immediately saw her walking in another direction. Your Majesty asked you to come too. Dongyang Jing was a little reluctant, but she knew that now was not the time to fall out, so she also came. It's just a formality, Zhang Zizai said. He looked around and said, there are many people here, and the prince can't do anything. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Dongyang Jing is not afraid of him. In addition to the Yanlong royal family, there are thousands of guards to escort them. These will go to Longshan to hunt together. However, their mission is to protect the royal family and transport the corpses of the source beasts. They will not participate in hunting. In the crowd, Princess Shenxiao and Princess Lingxian were riding on golden dragon horses. Zhang Zizai saw them at a glance. After a while, Princess Lingxian rode a horse and led a golden dragon horse to Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai found that she was not wearing a veil today, and she was dressed quite stunningly. Although she was wearing relatively light clothes, she looked better than the morning court that day. She had bright eyes and white teeth and a light body. In fact, she didn't need to lose weight at all. Your horse, give it to you. She led the golden dragon horse to Zhang Zizai. Thank you. Zhang Zizai was quite interested in the majestic golden dragon horse. The Prince Long Yun next to him also led a golden dragon horse to Dongyang Jing, but Dongyang Jing ignored him. After getting on the horse, she saw that Zhang Zizai had Princess Lingxian here, so she didn't come over either. Give me some face, don't reject people from 1,000 miles away. The prince smiled. He Dongyang Jing laughed and ignored him. Interesting. The prince smiled dumbly, but he didn't get entangled and went to chat with a group of brothers. After a while, the Flame Dragon Emperor and his people, wearing military uniforms, also rode golden dragon horses out from the depths of the imperial city. In addition to him, there were Prince Yang and others, and there was a carriage behind them. It was estimated that the concubine was sitting inside. Every time the Flame Dragon Emperor went hunting in Longshan, he would bring concubine Su with him. This was known to everyone. Otherwise, why would people in the world say that the emperor loved concubine Su the most? There are more than a dozen of their elders, all of whom are important figures in charge of a region, among whom Prince Yang has the highest status. Dongyang Jing and Zhang Zizai are here too. Emperor Yanlong was in a very good mood and smiled when he saw the two of them. Okay, everyone is here, follow me. This dynasty was conquered by our ancestors on horseback, and hunting in Longshan is a fine tradition passed down from our ancestors to the present. Longshan is not far away. After leaving Yanlongxiu, walk 40 miles in the opposite direction of the glacier lake and you will arrive. A Longshan, winding like a dragon, although not high, is very large. It has a vast territory and breeds many source beasts. The source beast pterosaur used to convey the imperial edict was cultivated here. There are many talents in the dynasty who can tame beasts and live here all year round. The entrance to Longshan is firmly controlled by the imperial guards. Hearing that His Majesty is coming to Longshan to hunt today, the battle has already been arranged here. A group of people galloped and gathered at the door. The Flame Dragon King finally stopped. Zhang Zizai was looking for an opportunity to ask about Zhang Junjian. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 190. When they arrived at Longshan, concubine Su got off the carriage. She was also dressed in military uniform recently. Under the tight clothes was a hot figure. She was in her prime now. In fact, she was only in her 30s, which was the most beautiful time. Her appearance was very similar to Princess Shenxiao. I believe that when Shenxiao reached her age, she would be more charming like her. The royal children had gathered and were ready to go. They were about to separate and rush into Nalan Mountain to hunt. The guards who followed them were all above the Xuanmei realm and could keep up with them. There were nearly 2,000 guards around. After they separated, Each of them had 20 or 30 guards following them, led by the commander of the Black Blade. Their main task was to transport the carcasses of the prey for the royal children and to protect them in case of accidents. The Flame Dragon Emperor arranged Zhang Zizai and Dong Yangjing to follow, which clearly meant that they were to go with Princess Lingxian and Prince Lan Jiayun respectively. Before setting off, Emperor Yanlong was in high spirits. He suddenly looked at Zhang Zizai and said, "I heard that Yuan Divine Servant obtained a 4th level evolution source, which allowed Lu Yuan's son Lu Dingxing to evolve his natal totem to the level of a wild level totem. Is this true? This matter has caused a great uproar in the dynasty." They all discussed the significance of it. Lu Yuan died because of the royal family, but the sacrifice temple brought such a good fortune to his son. This feeling of tit for tat is too obvious. This wild level totem undoubtedly made Lu Dingxing directly enter the ranks of the top geniuses in the dynasty. And it is a genius that is rare in 10,000 years. The genius of the sacrifice temple is everywhere, and the Yanlong royal family's generation was originally quite crazy, but now it seems to be completely compared. Zhang Zizai nodded and said, "He is indeed lucky." Yuan Divine Servant said that he once got the troll evolution source. With the troll as a foundation, the gods and demons are likely to succeed. In the end, they really succeeded. It is really enviable that the sacrifice temple has geniuses like you. Fortunately, I betrothed Lingxian to you in time. Now you are also considered a member of my royal family, and you are not exclusive to the sacrifice temple. Tell me, do people in the world dare to laugh at me for forcibly snatching talents?" the Flame Dragon Emperor said with a smile. Zhang Zizai smiled and said, "Your Majesty is joking. I am a person of the Flame Dragon dynasty. I am a member of the Kailan royal family and have served the dynasty for generations." Very good. The Flame Dragon Emperor seemed very satisfied with him. Seeing this as an opportunity, Zhang Zizai hurriedly asked, "Your Majesty, I wonder if the follow-up investigation of my brother in Tai prison has been completed. This is the main purpose of his coming today." Maybe Dong Yangjing also came for this matter, but she was still calm, lowering her head in thought, without showing any concern. In fact, her ears were already perked up. Emperor Yanlong smiled slightly and said, "Faming temple is too slow, but you understand. After all, this matter is complicated. From the current situation, there are only some details left. As long as they are dealt with, Zhang Junjian can come out. I will try my best to get them done before you get married, so that he can watch his brother get married." This is still the same as before, making it difficult to guess his thoughts. Anyway, Zhang Zizai can only continue to wait. He nodded and said, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Now people are under the eaves. Emperor Yanlong was about to announce the start of the Longshan hunt, but at this time, at the instruction of concubine Su, Princess Shenxiao stood up. She said softly, "Father, I am unwilling to accept the defeat in the 6 prefectures grand meeting. I have made some breakthroughs recently. I want to ask Zhang Zizai for advice before the hunt. Please allow me." Oh, Emperor Yanlong's face was calm. He probably knew that if he wanted Shenxiao to completely get rid of Zhang Zizai's inner demon, he had to let her stand on the peak again. This was concubine Su's intention. Hunting in Longshan is right in front of the Flame Dragon Emperor, which is a good opportunity. Others are even more happy to watch the show. "Zhang Zizai, what do you think?" asked the Flame Dragon Emperor. Zhang Zizai was a little overwhelmed. This woman was really entangled. She didn't fight in Nalan Mountain last time, and she came here to rush to defeat him. However, if he gave in at this time, he would be laughed at. After all, there are so many guards watching. He said, "Since the princess is unwilling to let me go, I will fight." I thought to myself, if I don't let this guy defeat me, it will probably be annoying all the time. Let her win a game today, and then get out of here. Sufei smiled and said, "Zhang Zizai, it's not that the princess is unwilling to let you go. People in martial arts always have a desire to win when they meet their opponents. The former loser will definitely take you as a target and promote each other. Both of them will gain something in the end. Since she allowed Shen Xiao to do this, she should be very confident in Princess Shen Xiao. But what they didn't know was that although Princess Shen Xiao had reached the 7th level of the Xuanmei realm, Zhang Zizai had also reached the 6th level of the Xuanmei realm. He said, Princess Shen Xiao is indeed a rare opponent. Today, I will show my ugliness. Princess, please. He jumped off the golden dragon horse, drew out the dragon spirit sword, and walked to the center of the field with an indifferent look. People watched enthusiastically, and Prince Longyun was also very interested. He didn't expect Shen Xiao to be so radical today. From his perspective, he saw love, hatred, and vengeance. Xiao Zhao, you have lost your body to this man, but you still want to fight him. It's really interesting. A pair of happy enemies. If this decision was made by concubine Su, she wanted her to defeat Zhang Zizai and get rid of her inner demons, but concubine Su never expected that her daughter was already a married woman, he. Princess Shen Xiao was very domineering when she entered the battle state. She moved very gracefully. She drew the Holy Dragon Emperor sword from the horse's back and without saying a word, she bullied Zhang Zizai head-on, using the Shen Xiao sword technique. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. His body instantly changed into white jade, fierce and domineering, like a god. That was the Shen Xiao holy body. Zhang Zizai stepped on the ground and rushed forward with a lightning storm. A black light and a white light collided in the air instantly. 7 swords in one. As soon as he started the battle, he burst out the Baidu sword technique continuously, combining 7 consecutive swords together, mixing the combined power of 6 kinds of true qi, and 7 dazzling black stars bombarded the Shen Xiao princess repeatedly. Although they were all wild level true qi, and although Zhang Zizai was still a little lower in realm, the difference in power between the two was almost gone, because the evolution source of Tai Chi had a double burst. The direct confrontation between Baidu sword control and Shen Xiao sword skills, in this instant, the Shen Xiao princess retreated step by step. Bang! In the last sword, Zhang Zizai was defeated by the one who could directly defeat her, but he changed it and shook it 10 feet away. She retreated continuously and almost fell to the ground. In fact, the winner has been decided. Zhang Zizai just gave her some face. She should know who is stronger now. However, Zhang Zizai found that he overestimated her. She didn't seem to understand and was particularly angry after landing. Don't go, she tapped her toes lightly and rushed over. Zhang Zizai thought about it and let her win. I hope she wins this time and doesn't bother me again in the future. Now he just wants his brother to come out safely. This Shen Xiao princess always makes trouble. If things go wrong, it will be more than worth it. Zai Yu's revenge was avenged at the 6 Prefectures festival, and he also bullied her several times afterwards. Anyway, he couldn't kill her. If she continued to pester him in the future, Zhang Zizai wanted to teach her a lesson after his brother came out safely. So he let her go, pretending to be counterattacked by Shen Xiao, retreating step by step, and finally surrendering, raising his hands and saying, Princess Shen Xiao is really powerful, I am no match for her.